Good afternoon. Merry Christmas and welcome to the First Parish in Bedford 4 p.m. Christmas Eve service. I'm Reverend Annie Gonzalez Milliken, and together with our senior minister, John Gibbons, our director of faith development for children, Deb Weiner, and our music director, Brad Connor, and our youth music director, Janet Welby, we're so delighted that you are joining us virtually this evening. And of course, we so wish that we could be in our sanctuary together as we were in that opening video. Our opening showing a journey into our partner Unitarian Church in Abashvalva, Transylvania, and their Advent wreath, coupled with showing our own in Bedford, gives you a little hint of the theme of this evening's worship. We are lifting up tonight that there are many ways to celebrate this holiday. We know that for many people, this holiday may feel especially different than others. And we also know that humans have been adapting their traditions to all kinds of circumstances, figuring out what they can keep and trade off in an interfaith relationship, figuring out what foods they can still cook after migration, figuring out how to honor a beloved family member after a death and continue on with the holiday. We humans have been figuring out so many ways to celebrate Christmas all across all the cultures where it's celebrated. And so this year is like that too. So you'll be hearing a few stories from parishioners and staff about the ways they celebrate and the traditions they've inherited. We'll also hear music from our youth and children and families and from other musicians. And of course, we'll end with our candles and our silent night, the same and different as we celebrate this evening. And to move us into the sharing of traditions, we're going to watch a short video about a very important Unitarian minister from the past and how he just may have brought one of our beloved Christmas traditions to this country. We'll learn more.
Sometimes we bring the light with us. Imagine traveling across a vast ocean, leaving everything you know behind except your memories and stories and traditions. Across that ocean, and quite some time ago, a man named Charles traveled. He had gone to university and fought for a free country, and because of that was forced from his homeland of Germany. Not everyone who leaves home wants to. And because here in this country it was said people could begin again, Charles came to New England. He taught at university, and he became a preacher and an abolitionist, working to end slavery. And one day, he became a father to little Charlie. As Charlie grew, his father wanted to give him a gift, but not something that came in a box. When the house was full of magic and the sweet smell of pine. Charles Follen of Lexington, Massachusetts, went out that Christmas, chopped the top off a tree, and brought it home to decorate for little Charlie. In a time when parents were not always kind and children were not always treasured, Charlie and the families of his neighborhood got a tree and a party. And that is why we know of his tree. Because there was a writer at that party, and she told the story of this unusual and new, to her, decoration. The doors were opened, and the children tiptoed in, and there it was, splendid and green, and inside the house. It was a Christmas tree, a gift from Germany, and a Unitarian minister named Charles. I hear there were eggshells painted gold and paper cut and folded into intricate shapes that hung on that tree. And on top of it all, there were lights, candles, so many candles, burning, flickering, and pushing the dark away on a bow of light. I hear there were old stories and new stories shared. I hear there were memories made and friendships deepened. Everyone comes from somewhere. Everyone comes with stories and memories and traditions. Some of them are like shadows and we barely can see them. And some of them are strong and bold and almost alive. This time of year, we sort through our memories and traditions to decide which ones we will keep and which ones we will leave in the past. Even in this year, when many traditions must remain in the box until we are together again, our stories are still shared and still grow in the telling. Whether they come from far across the ocean or from our own pasts, carried as carefully as that newborn baby, the stories we tell, the memories we share, the traditions we keep are part of us. They are the gift that doesn't come out of a box. And like the Christmas tree, we are part of the past that lives in the now and creates the future. For this morning and every morning, we are both the candles that carry light and the branches on which that light comes to rest.
Everyone comes from somewhere. And to share some of her heritage and culture, we are so glad to welcome Vanessa Lyda, who will share some of the history of German heritage and culture with us. Vanessa, welcome.
Hi, thank you, Deb, so much for putting this together. You did an awesome job. So I'm just going to read a little bit here. So our family's tradition have always included celebrating Christmas on Christmas Eve. My side of the family is mostly German. I was actually born in Stuttgart. And this is when Germans celebrate Christmas Eve and when we open most of our presents. We also, a tradition in our family is to decorate the tree together. And we have it right behind me. And my son always puts a train, which is on the bottom of the tree, around it. And my kids and I also make sure we set aside a little time to bake cookies together. And then it's our pleasure to share our cookies with some of our neighbors. And we make sure we take a few to church as well, which we actually did last Saturday. And for some years, we would even make a gingerbread house when we could fit that in. And the German cultural influences also extend to my spouse's side of the family. They live in Fleetwood, Pennsylvania, small little town, and it's a region where many of the 17th and 18th century immigrants settled from Germany. And they spoke a dialect, and some still do, called Pennsylvania Dutch German. Today, there's still a lot of German descendants living there, as well as Mennonites. And it's really charming every time I visit because you see them going around in their horse and buggy everywhere. And usually we drive down to visit my mother-in-law on Christmas morning. And when we arrive, she hides a pickle ornament, which is kind of a beloved tradition in Germany, where she hides this pickle ornament on the Christmas tree. And the kids try to find the pickle, and there's a prize for the winner every year. And that's just great fun. And since we won't be joining her this year, and she has 2 pickle ornaments, I had her send one up here, and I actually hid it on the tree behind me. And later tonight, she will watch through FaceTime as they hunt for the pickle in our tree. And I think that she'd really like that. Now, for me growing up with divorced parents, things weren't always so consistent, but most Christmas Eves I did spend with my mother and 2 older sisters. We opened presents under a tree lit with candles. It was absolutely beautiful. And I really thought everybody did that, which is kind of funny when I look back at it now. And it was always lots of cookies around. She had crescent-shaped almond and hazelnut cookies. And we would always sing songs. She would play the guitar, I remember sometimes, but we'd always sing songs both in English and German. And then when I lived in Germany for a year in my 20s with my step-grandmother in Stuttgart, where I was born, I also visited my uncle and aunt on their farm, kind of near, about an hour east of Frankfurt. And they would always have homemade Stahlen, which is like a fruit bread kind of cake with nuts and fruit. And actually, right in their backyard was their church, which looked almost exactly like the church that you just showed us in the beginning of the service, quite similar. And we would also go to lots of beautiful Christmas markets, and I would see the most beautiful handmade things. We have a beautiful nutcracker in my house. And at these markets, they would have Glühwein, which is a really warm mulled kind of wine, which is really popular over there during this time. And there's one more thing that kind of influences our particular Christmas dinner every year, and that's more of a Pennsylvania Dutch tradition again, where I would make Pennsylvania Dutch potato filling, it's called. And it's made with mashed potatoes, and mixed in is celery, onions, and bread cubes. So it's kind of like stuffing in mashed potatoes, which there's really nothing better than that. And then on Christmas Eve tonight, we'll sing songs around a piano, and we'll still light lots of candles, just none on our tree. And even though, you know, overall this year will be different, my parents on Zoom, my mother-in-law on Zoom, it'll still be great to have some of these traditions that do stay the same from year to year. Merry Christmas.
Thank you so much, Vanessa. That's lovely. Many of you continuing with thinking about the German tradition will remember A Charlie Brown Christmas and the beautiful German carol O Tannenbaum. Here's Steve Sussman.
Good evening, everyone. This is an excerpt from Dylan Thomas's A Child's Christmas in Wales. I remember that we went singing carols once when there wasn't the shaving of a moon to light the flying streets. At the end of a long road was a drive that led to a large house, and we stumbled up the darkness of the drive that night, each one of us afraid, each one holding a stone in his hand in case, and all of us too brave to say a word. The wind through the trees made noises as of old and unpleasant, and maybe web-footed men wheezing in caves. We reached the black bulk of the house. What shall we give them? Hark the herald? No, Jack said. Good King Wenceslas, I'll count three. 1, 2, 3, and we began to sing, our voices high and seemingly distant in the snow-felted darkness round the house that was occupied by nobody we knew. We stood close together near the dark door. Good King Wenceslas looked out on the feast of Stephen. And then a small, dry voice, like the voice of someone who has not spoken for a long time, joined our singing. A small, dry, eggshell voice from the other side of the door. A small, dry voice through the keyhole. And when we stopped running, we were outside our house. The front room was lovely. Balloons floated under the hot water bottle gulping gas. Everything was good again and shone over the town. Perhaps it was a ghost, Jim said. Perhaps it was trolls, Dan said, who was always reading. Let's go in and see if there's any jelly left, Jack said, and we did that. Always on Christmas night, there was music. An uncle played the fiddle, a cousin sang Cherry Ripe, and another uncle sang Drake's Drum. It was very warm in the little house. Auntie Hannah, who had got on to the parsnip wine, sang a song about bleeding hearts and death. And then another in which she said that her heart was like a bird's nest. And then everybody laughed again, and then I went to bed. Looking through my bedroom window out into the moonlight and the unending smoke-colored snow, I could see the lights in the windows of all the other houses on our hill and hear the music rising from them up the long, steady, failing night. I turned the gas down. I got into bed. I said some words to the close and holy darkness. And then I slept.
Hi everyone. We're off to go look for some Christmas music and see what we will find. I'm not sure it'll be snowing, but I'm really happy the snow is here now. Merry Christmas!
Oh, the weather outside is frightful, but the fire is so delightful. And since we've no place to go, let it snow, let it snow, let it snow. It doesn't show signs of stopping, and I brought some corn for popping. The lights are turned way down low. Let it snow, let it snow, let it snow. When we finally kiss goodnight, how I hate going out in the storm. But if you really hold me tight, all the way home I'll be warm. The fire is slowly dying, and my dear, we're still goodbying. As long as you love me so, let it snow, let it snow, let it snow.
You know Dasher and Dancer and Prancer and Vixen, Comet and Cupid and Donner and Blitzen. But do you recall the most famous reindeer of all? Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer had a very shiny nose. And if you ever saw him, you would even say it glows. All of the other reindeer used to laugh and call him names. They never let poor Rudolph join in any reindeer games. Then one foggy Christmas Eve, Santa came to say, Rudolph, with your nose so bright, won't you guide my sleigh tonight? Then how the reindeer loved him, as they shouted out with glee, Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer, you'll go down in history.
Jingle bell, jingle bell, jingle bell rock. Jingle bell swing and jingle bell ring. Snowing and blowing up bushes of corn. Now the jingle hop has begun. Jingle bell, jingle bell rock. Jingle bell chime and jingle bell time. Dancing and prancing in Jingle Bell Square. In the frosty air, what a bright time. It's the right time to rock the night away. Jingle bell time is a swell time to go riding in a one-horse sleigh. Giddy up, you jingle horse, pick up your feet, jingle around the clock. Mix and a mingle in the jingling beat. That's the jingle bell, that's the jingle bell rock.
Dashing through the snow in a one-horse open sleigh, o'er the fields we go, laughing all the way. Bells on bobtail ring, making spirits bright. What fun it is to ride and sing a sleighing song tonight. Oh, jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Hey!
We wish you a Merry Christmas, we wish you a Merry Christmas, we wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Good tidings we bring to you and your kin. Good tidings for Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Oh, bring us some figgy pudding. Oh, bring us some figgy pudding. Oh, bring us some figgy pudding and bring it right here.
We won't go until we get some. We won't go until we get some. We won't go until we get some. So bring it right here.
We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Good tidings to you and your kin. Good tidings for Christmas and a Happy New Year.
And a Happy New Year.
Deck the halls with stars of holly, fa la 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 la. 'Tis the season to be jolly, fa la 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 la. Don we now our gay apparel, fa la 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 la. Troll the ancient Yuletide carol, fa la 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 la. See the blazing Yule before us, fa la 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 la. Strike the harp and join the chorus, fa la 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 la. Follow me in merry measure, fa la 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 la. While I tell of Yuletide treasure, fa la 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 la. Fast away the old year passes, fa la 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 la. Hail the new year, lads and lasses, fa la 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 la. Sing we joyous all together, fa la 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 la. Regardless of the wind and weather, fa la 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 la. Fa la 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 la.
Stay tuned, everyone, as later we will be showing part 2 of our youth choir Christmas medley.
Thank you, Janet, and thank you to all the families who have participated in making this amazing video. Well, as we heard, everyone comes from somewhere, and Liz Hannigan's family comes from Poland, and Liz shared some beautiful memories of her experiences growing up, things that she has carried forward into her own family. And here to share those memories is Gray Hannigan.
When I was a child, our holiday celebrations were really focused around the foods, laughter, and family. There wasn't a lot of money, so there were plenty of homemade gifts and lots of jokes and teasing. My grandmother and grandfather lived in the same house that she was born in. Their home at Christmas was always such a warm, laughter-filled haven. You walked through the door to the smell of dinner baking, a wood fire, and lots of laughter. I was in charge of putting up the tree, and everyone in the family had their own ornament, which my grandmother had decorated, along with 3 glass birds that went on top of the tree, and for my mom and 2 uncles. On Christmas Day, my family would meet along with my 2 uncles and their families at my grandmother's house. We called her Baci. In the morning, and started eating babka bread and coffee or juice. My uncle would bring the babka from a Polish bakery in Western Mass, and when I got older, it became my job to get the bread. As the food for our dinner was cooking, we would all gather in the living room, all 16 of us, to open presents. My grandmother would have some game for my cousins to play. One year, 2 of my cousins and I decided to play the Polish Christmas present game on her. We gave her a toothbrush without the bristles, an ornament like a bowling ball with a fishing hook on it, and other foolish Polish-type joke gifts. Somehow she knew what we were up to, because when it was our turn, she had a brown paper bag that she said was filled with money, and each of us would take turns in order of age to reach in, so we could keep whatever cash we pulled out. My oldest cousin went in first, and so we could keep whatever, and Baci shook the bag a bit to make things fun. He got this confused look on his face when he pulled out some scrap paper, a couple single bills, and a mouse trap. I was supposed to go next, but I was so scared. I couldn't get my hand in the bag. She kept shaking the bag and urging me on. I couldn't do it. So my younger cousin, who was also the biggest prankster ever, went next. Between the 2 of them, they had me convinced there were live mouse traps in the bag. To this day, I can't put my hand into a paper bag without checking first. My grandmother would start playing the Christmas menu weeks in advance based on the sales in the grocery store. Come dinner time, we crammed into her tiny kitchen and sat at 2 tables. For food, there was always kielbasa, guamkis, cabbage rolls filled with meat or rice, the babka bread, and baked fresh ham with a special raisin sauce that I never cared for. Then we would put the youngest kids at the adult table to help them, which left my cousins and me to plot next year's pranks at the kids' table. Those are beautiful Christmas memories, and when I make food from my childhood and prepare it for Christmas, I am filled with thoughts of my family.
Thank you so much, Gray, and thank you, Liz, for those memories. And now, from a Ukrainian traditional medley, please enjoy the Okamoto family, Carol of the Bells.
Hark at the
everywhere filling the air. Oh, how the loud raising the song, oh, how the noontime bells, gay they ring, while people sing songs of good cheer. Christmas is here. Ding dong, God is the song, with joyful ring of caroling.
On they said, on without end, their joyful tone to every home.
On they said, on without end, their joyful tone to every home.
Ding dong, ding dong.
My father was born to an Orthodox Jewish family. His parents were both Russian immigrants. Like so many of their day, they had left the pogroms and the meager life in Eastern Europe and sailed for the shores of New York to be greeted by the lady with the lamp and a life of poverty on the Lower East Side. They made the move up the Hudson River to Newburgh, New York after a few years and started life in a tenement in a small town where my grandfather picked up work as a tailor while my grandmother cared for the 6 children of the family. My father, the youngest, sang in the synagogue choir and remembered how Gentiles observed Christmas, and they had particular holiday traditions. One boy, he told me, received a stocking full of coal on Christmas Day for his misdeeds. There was no Christmas for my father's family, of course, but years later, he fell in love with a shiksa, a non-Jew, and they married and set up life in Canaan, New York, and later New Haven, Connecticut. Although my mother had converted to Judaism, she later said to please Oscar's parents. They started seeking a religion that they could share equally and came to Unitarian Universalism as a religion which embraced and accepted many religious practices and beliefs. And so it was that my father became something of a Christmas elf. He went for this holiday all the way. He loved the tree, often one we went out into the fields to dig up. Later, it would be replanted along the edge of our property in the spring when the ground thawed. He loved the lights, the shining decorations, the gifts, the sweets, the smell of plenty, which he, growing up poor, had never experienced. That love was a blessing to me, the only child. My dad created the magic as he imagined it should be. Christmas Eve dinner, enjoyed by just the 3 of us, featured the best steak along with baked potatoes and peas. I chose the menu, and a chocolate dessert with a little champagne, even for me as a kid. Maybe not the fanciest food, but pretty nice for a middle-class family where Dad had grown up in a crowded apartment with rats running across the floor. My father was not focused on reading from the biblical Christmas stories from Luke or Matthew. That would have been a bridge too far for a man who came to Christmas through the back door. But he pulled out an old leather-bound copy of the writings of O. Henry and turned to the gift of the Magi. That was the story he wanted to share, how even the poorest of people were focused on others and sold the few riches that they had to make someone else's holiday happier. A social worker, this was the work of my dad's life, made real through literature. The next morning, as I eyed all the presents under the tree, he would light his pipe and start a fire in the fireplace. He would watch with deep pleasure as I tore the wrappings off each gift. Later, there would be a dinner with friends or sometimes members of my mother's family. And as we sat down, my father, from the head of the table and wearing his red Christmas vest, would look around and say, well, we made it through another year. Here we are together. We are very lucky to be here. I always grew impatient as he reflected on the year as sort of an invocation for the meal to come. The passage of time has helped me to realize that he was remembering his own childhood, the one that involved few tangible gifts, but much love from his parents and his siblings. This homily was his way of handing the real blessings on. My father left life in 1993, the same year our younger daughter, Abigail, entered the world. Our Christmas Eve dinner now tends toward fondue, not steak. And it's up to Ben and me to carry the traditions we inherited from our families. Perhaps the greatest of these lessons is one that resonates particularly for this uncommon year, that magic is created simply through sharing our love for one another, and that sometimes it is made real by a warm fire, a good story, and even a bit of chocolate.
Welcome back on our journey through musical Bedford.
Oh, Christmas tree, thy leaves are so unchanging. Oh, Christmas tree, thy leaves are so unchanging. Not only green when summer's here, but also when 'tis cold and drear. Oh, Christmas tree, thy leaves are so unchanging. Oh, Christmas tree, much pleasure thy canst give me. Oh, Christmas tree, much pleasure thy canst give me. How often has the Christmas tree afforded me the greatest glee? Oh, Christmas tree, much pleasure thy canst give me. Oh, Christmas tree, thy candle shines so brightly. Oh, Christmas tree, thy candle shines so brightly. From base to summit gay and bright, there's only splendor for the sight. Oh, Christmas tree, thy candle shines so brightly.
Up on a housetop, reindeer paws, out jumps good old Santa Claus, down through the chimney with lots of toys, all for the little ones' Christmas joys. Ho, 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 who wouldn't go? Ho, 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 who wouldn't go? Up on a housetop, click, 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 down through the chimney with good Saint Nick. First comes the stocking of little Nell. Oh, dear Santa, fill it well. Give her a dolly that laughs and cries, one that will open and shut her eyes. Ho, 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 who wouldn't go? Ho, 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 who wouldn't go? Up on the housetop, click, 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 down through the chimney with good Saint Nick. Next comes the stocking of little Will. Oh, just what a glorious fill. Here is a hammer and lots of tracks, also a ball and a whip that cracks.
Ho, 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 who wouldn't go? Ho, 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 who wouldn't go? Up on a housetop, click, 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 down through the chimney with good Saint Nick. Joy to the world, the Lord is come. Let earth receive her King. Let every heart prepare him room, and heaven and nature sing, and heaven and nature sing, and heaven and nature sing. Joy to the earth, the Savior reigns. Let men their songs employ. Through fields and floods, rocks, hills, and plains, repeat the sounding joy, repeat the sounding joy, repeat, repeat the sounding joy.
Hey, how do you guys like singing in the rain?
It's perfect for 2020.
Do you wish it was snow?
Oh, that would be nice.
Yeah, okay. Oh, I think we can't start yet because the plane's going by again.
I think they're hoping so.
I'll cover our ears with the plane.
Merry Christmas!
I was gonna say happy holidays.
No, but I told you to say Merry Christmas.
Okay, let's do them.
This is not fun.
Like how many bears? Welcome to our house. We're kind of in space.
There you go.
Okay, that's good then. It's fine. It's fine. Now.
This is David
Hi.
with the tripod.
Human tripod.
Okay, yeah, ringing bells. Ooh. Merry Christmas!
Merry Christmas! Merry Christmas!
Merry
Merry Christmas! Joyeux Noël! Feliz Navidad!
Weihnachten! Merry Christmas!
Merry Christmas!
Oh, well.
Hi, Santa.
The second word is actually, these are weird.
This is your mom.
That was so wonderful. Thank you so, so much, Janet, for making magic happen despite the situation we're in. So yesterday, I found myself crying in my kitchen. I had that feeling like I just kept messing everything up. I was trying to cook my family's traditional Noche Buena meal, the one I grew up with my dad's side of the family, the Cuban side that lives in Florida. And I wanted to do it on the 23rd because, well, tonight I'm a little busy doing a couple Zoom worships. And so I had gone out to get the ingredients, but at first I had gotten the wrong meat. I had also waited too long to get my plantains. They weren't ripe. And as I was smelling the scents of the black beans cooking on the stove and the pork roasting in the oven, I just kind of lost it. But I realized as I was crying, it wasn't really the plantains or the meat. It was that these smells were so familiar, but I hadn't smelled them since Christmas of 2015, the last time I made it down to Florida for a Christmas holiday. And Moira, who's now 5, was just an infant, and my grandma was alive, and my uncle was alive, and my grandfather was alive. None of them are alive now. And so I cried for a while to my housemate about the people that I was worried I wouldn't see who are living, but who I can't see because of pandemic, and the members of my family who have passed on, who I won't see again. And she said, yeah, that's sad, and it's a good idea to feel sad about it. And it's true. There's a lot that can feel sad at Christmas, and it's good to feel sad about it when you're sad. But the other part of the truth is that we had a Zoom reunion for my Gonzalez family a few days before, and one by one, every cousin, aunt, and uncle talked of their plans to cook the pork their own way and on some part of the Christmas or New Year's holiday. One cousin said she was spending Christmas with vegetarians, so she had to cook it for New Year's Eve. And even my cousin, who is a vegetarian, was having her husband prepare the pork. So even as we are separated, we're doing it together. And maybe you're doing that this year too. Maybe you're cooking the foods apart but together. Maybe you're crying about the loved ones who've passed on or the loved ones who you're separated from by pandemic. But maybe you're also having something delicious and finding new ways to share it. I got to watch my 5-year-old cut up the plantains with my housemate. I got to feed my beloved friend who I've known since I was a small child my family's traditional food. And that's new, and it wouldn't have happened if it wasn't this year. So maybe we can find a few small gifts amidst what is hard this year and keep those traditions alive and well, adapting and changing, and stay connected. And with that, we will move to our offering to benefit those who do not have the luxury of having the food that they need.
Tonight's offering will benefit the World Central Kitchen. This organization was founded by Chef Jose Andres. Its mission is to use food to empower communities and strengthen economies. World Central Kitchen is operating across the United States and around the globe, and it is currently providing food to communities in Massachusetts. Please, if you donate, note WCK for World Central Kitchen in a check that you give, or you may give online. The information will appear on your screen. Thank you, as always, for your generosity. Please enjoy some beautiful music from Brad and Robert. What child is this? Christmas is not just about presents and candy canes and making merry. It also celebrates the birth of Jesus. And that is recounted in several stories from the Bible. And here is one from the book of Luke. Joseph also went from the town of Nazareth in Galilee to Judea, to the city of David called Bethlehem, because he was descended from the house and family of David. He went to be registered with Mary, to whom he was engaged and who was expecting a child. While they were there, the time came for her to deliver her child, and she gave birth to her firstborn son and wrapped him in bands of cloth and laid him in a manger, because there was no place for them in the inn. In that region, there were shepherds living in the fields, keeping watch over their flock by night. Then an angel of the Lord stood before them, and the glory of the Lord shone around them, and they were terrified. But the angel said to them, "Do not be afraid, for see, I am bringing you good news of great joy for all the people. To you is born this day in the city of David a Savior who is the Messiah, the Lord. This will be a sign for you. You will find a child wrapped in bands of cloth and lying in a manger." And suddenly there was with the angel a multitude of the heavenly host, praising God and saying, "Glory to God in the highest heaven, and on earth peace among those whom he favors." When the angel had left them and gone into heaven, the shepherds said to one another, "Let us go now to Bethlehem and see this thing that has taken place, which the Lord has made known to us." And so they went with haste and found Mary and Joseph and the child lying in the manger. When they saw this, they made known what had been told to them about the child, and all who heard it were amazed at what the shepherds told them. But Mary treasured all these words and pondered them in her heart. Friends, this is the time when we would be passing the light were we in First Parish. And in your Christmas bags, you received candle lighting candles. So I invite you now to take them out. We are going to light the light. The darkness cannot keep this light out, and the pandemic cannot extinguish it. It is the light that we bring to one another. It is the light of hope. It is the light of faith. And this light never goes out. So I invite you to find a candle, something to kindle your light with, to light your candle. And as you do, hold it very carefully, remembering that if you pass the light, the lit candle never tips. And enjoy listening to the beautiful music of Eloise, Emery, Ian, and Carlo Faulkner Carroll, Silent Night.
Thank you so much to the Faulkner Carols, and apologies for our glitch. I encourage you now, if your candle is still lit, to raise it up so it's visible and to put your Zoom on gallery view. And maybe even to scroll through and look at all the faces and the candles that you can see. We are not together the way we want to be, but we are together. And there are so many ways to celebrate. So whatever way you can find to keep a family tradition alive or to start a new one, to connect virtually, to connect in your heart, I hope you find the best ways you can and make this night the silent night, the holy night, the good enough night that it can be. May it be so. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much, and Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you all. Thank you for being with us.